Hi everyone, thank you for joining me for today's flow. Today will actually be a 10-minute stretching flow. I feel like stretching is so important, especially after a flow or a workout, just to really lengthen everything and help the muscles recover. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So we'll just start out with one deep breath. You can close those eyes and give me a big inhale through the nose. And exhale it out through the mouth. Float open those eyes and come to the back of your mat. Reach those arms above your head. You can pull that left arm into the right side. And then right arm into the left side to stretch out those obliques. Give me a small back bend right here. And tuck that chin in and walk it out. And come into a downward dog. And we're just going to pedal everything out. Bend one knee and place the other heel on the mat to really stretch out the calves and the hamstrings. And then switch sides. Push those shoulders back towards your hips to really stretch out the arms, the shoulders, the back. Deep breath. And float open that right leg into the air. You can bend that knee. Give me circles to stretch out those hip flexors. And straighten that leg. Bring the knee towards the chest. And place that foot right in between your hands and bend that back leg. Straighten those toes. We're going to come into a lunge right here. And just push that front leg forward a little bit to get a good stretch in the back and those front quads. And straighten that front leg. Reach toward those toes. Flex that foot if you can. You'll get a really deep stretch in the hamstrings. We're just resting it here for a breath. And walk those hands over towards that right side. Keeping that foot flexed if you can. You'll get a really good stretch. If not, you can point those toes, whatever feels good for you. Really reach over to that right side, getting a good stretch in those obliques, the upper arms. And come back to the center. Bring that leg forward into a bend. Curl those toes under, and we're going to come into a lunge, a standing lunge position. Bringing those arms up for a breath and opening it up into a warrior two. Really reaching through those arms, feeling a good stretch right here. And reach those arms forward and bring it back for a stretch. And straighten that front leg. Reach it forward. And plant those back toes so they're facing forward. Both toes facing towards the front of your mat. And just reach it here for a breath. And bend that front leg. And you're going to come into a three-legged plank. So that right leg is lifted off the mat for a breath. And bend those arms. And come into an upward facing dog. Look over that right shoulder. And then the left. And sit it back into a child's pose with those knees open. Sway side to side. And push it back into that downward dog again. Pedal it out and lift that left leg into the air. Bend that knee, open up that hip. Give me circles going backwards and then circles going forward. And hug that left knee into the chest and plant those toes in between your hands. Bend that back leg, uncurl those toes. Sit it up and press forward for a breath. Really feeling that stretch in the front quads. And straighten the front leg, reach it forward. Flex those toes to get a deeper stretch. If that feels good for you, walk those hands out a few inches to get an even deeper stretch. And move those arms over towards that left side, stretching in the obliques. Walking those hands back to center, bending that front leg, uncurling those toes and coming in to a standing lunge, bringing those arms up for a breath and opening up into a warrior two, really feeling that inner thigh stretch, reaching those arms nice and long, reach forward and reach back for a breath and straighten that front leg, cartwheel those arms forward and move that back leg in a little bit so all toes are facing the front of the mat. And just melt down here for a breath. And coming into a three-legged plank from there, holding that left leg up for a breath and slowly lowering down into those arms, coming up into an upward facing dog and sitting back into a child's pose. You can have your knees together or out wide. And then bring that right leg up into a pigeon pose. So the shins are resting on the mat. That left leg is back out towards the other side of the mat. Lift that chest up and melt it down onto the mat. You can rock side to side to really stretch out those glutes and the hip flexor, or you can stay still and just melt down onto those forearms. We're just going to sit it here for a few deep breaths because this stretch feels really good and really stretches everything out and is so important. Breathing really helps everything lengthen and release. So if you're feeling tight or tighter in any areas, really try to do some deep breathing, a big inhale through that nose, and really let it out through the mouth to get that release in the muscles. And slowly walk those hands up and push it back into a downward dog again. We're going to lift that left leg up and bring it into a pigeon pose, shins on the mat, right leg out long, reaching that chest up to the sky for a breath, and walking those hands down to the mat. We're just going to sit here for a few deep breaths. You can walk those arms out for a deeper stretch or rest that head on the mat to really melt in and get that glute and hip flexor stretch. Give me one more deep breath here. And slowly sit it up onto that left sit bone. Bring those legs out wide into a straddle. Reach those arms above your head and slowly reach over towards that right side. You can flex that foot for a deeper stretch. Walk those hands out farther if that feels good for you. And walk those hands into the center of your mat and pause here for a breath to get that inner thigh stretch. This one feels really good. And make your way over towards that left foot. Reach that left arm over and fold onto that left leg. You can flex the foot to get a deeper stretch here if that feels good for you. And slowly walk it up Bring those legs together into a butterfly position so the soles of your feet are touching. You can flap those wings. And you can walk those hands out forward a little bit to get a deeper stretch here. And we're going to cross those legs and come into a seated position. Reach those arms above and melt that right forearm to the mat, left arm reaching over the head. This is one of my favorite stretches. I always do this. It's just so good to stretch out the obliques and the sides and the glutes all at once. And come to the center. We're going to fold it forward, keeping those sits bones on the mat to really feel this stretch. Reach those arms out farther to get deeper into it. Give me one more deep breath right here. And slowly walk those hands up. Walk the hands up and place them in your lap and close the eyes, and we're just going to finish off with one more deep grounding breath. So give me a big inhale through the nose. Hold it at the top for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Exhale it out. Float open those eyes. And I hope you enjoyed this stretching flow. I know I really did. I've done a lot of walking. I've done a lot of Pilates this week, so that felt great. And I hope it just felt good for you to lengthen and release some tension in those muscles. And let me know if you enjoyed this. I will definitely do some more stretching videos. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next flow. Bye.